welcome to my YouTube channel Bike Updater. Today we are going to talk about two of the most iconic motorcycles in India and honestly across many parts of the world. These are bikes that don't just run on roads, they run in the hearts of riders. Yes, I am talking about the Royal Enfield Classic 350 and the Royal Enfield Bullet 350. These are not just motorcycles, they are legacies, carrying decades of tradition, heritage, and unmatched road presence. In today's video, I'm going to do a deep comparison of both bikes, the Classic 350 and the Bullet 350. I'll explain everything in detail from the design, engine performance, ride comfort, handling, mileage, maintenance, and even which one you should buy depending on your riding style and your preferences. Stick with me till the end because I'll give you a clear answer to the most asked question. Classic 350 versus Bullet 350, which one is the better choice for you? So let's start by talking about the first thing that everyone notices. The looks, the styling, and the overall design language. Both the Classic 350 and the Bullet 350 carry that old school retro styling that Royal Enfield is known for. They are the kind of bikes that make people turn their heads when you ride past them. The Classic 350 has a slightly more polished, premium, and refined look. It comes with that teardrop-shaped fuel tank, chrome touches, and a very elegant stance that makes it look like a proper retro modern motorcycle. On the other hand, the Bullet 350 has a more rugged, raw, and simple design. It has minimalistic styling, more exposed metal, and a no-nonsense attitude. The Bullet is like that old-school tough guy who doesn't need to dress fancy to make an impression. It's the rawness and simplicity of the Bullet that makes it so iconic. If you want something that looks more premium, more classy, and has that elegant retro vibe, you would naturally be attracted to the Classic 350. But if you want something that looks pure, raw, and carries that macho presence, then the Bullet 350 stands tall. Now moving on to the heart of the motorcycles, the engine and performance. Both the Classic 350 and the Bullet 350 are powered by the same 349cc single-cylinder air oil-cooled engine from Royal Enfield's J-Series platform. This engine produces around 20 horsepower and 27 Newton-meters of torque. On paper, both bikes deliver the same power figures, but the experience of riding them feels slightly different. The Classic 350 feels smoother, more refined, and tuned for a balanced ride. Its power delivery is very linear, which makes it easy to handle in the city as well as enjoyable on highways. The vibrations are well controlled compared to the older Royal Enfield engines, and it feels very comfortable cruising at 80 to 90 km per hour. The Bullet 350, even though it has the same engine, feels a little more raw in character. It has that thumpier exhaust note and gives you that traditional Royal Enfield Bullet vibe where you feel connected directly to the machine. It doesn't hide the rawness of the engine. Instead, it embraces it. So while the Classic 350 focuses more on smoothness and refinement, the Bullet 350 focuses on character and ruggedness. When it comes to riding comfort and ergonomics, both bikes are built for long-distance cruising and everyday riding. The Classic 350 gives you a slightly lower seat height, a well-cushioned seat, and a very relaxed, upright riding posture. It's designed in such a way that riders of almost all heights can feel comfortable while riding it. The suspension setup is tuned slightly towards comfort, which makes it a great option if you want to enjoy relaxed rides for long hours. On the other hand, the Bullet 350 has a taller stance, a more commanding riding posture, and a slightly firmer seat. The Bullet feels like you are sitting on top of the bike, whereas on the Classic you feel more in the bike. The Bullet's suspension is also strong but not as plush as the Classic. This gives the Bullet a more rugged riding feel, almost like it was built to take on tougher roads. If you're someone who values comfort and ease of use in day-to-day riding, the Classic 350 edges ahead. But if you want a motorcycle that makes you feel powerful and commanding on the road, the Bullet 350 gives you that extra confidence. Handling is another area where you'll notice a difference. The Classic 350 is heavier, but thanks to its balanced weight distribution, it feels easier to maneuver, especially in city traffic. The wider handlebars and low center of gravity make it surprisingly easy to handle for a bike of its size. The Bullet 350, however, feels slightly heavier while handling, especially at lower speeds. But once you get used to it, you'll enjoy that feeling of controlling such a solid machine. On highways, both bikes are stable, solid, and planted. They inspire confidence when you're cruising at high speeds. The Classic 350 feels a bit more refined in corners, whereas the Bullet feels like it just wants to go straight with power. Now, let's talk about something every rider considers: mileage and fuel efficiency. Both bikes, having the same engine, deliver almost similar mileage figures. On average, you can expect around 35 to 38 kilometers per liter in city riding and about 40 to 42 kilometers per liter on highways if you ride them smoothly. The Classic 350, being a bit more refined, sometimes gives you slightly better real-world mileage. But the difference is not that big. Both bikes are not about fuel efficiency, they are about the experience of riding. But yes, considering the engine size and the weight, getting around 35 to 40 kilometers per mpl is pretty decent. Now let's move on to features and technology. The Classic 350 is slightly more modern when it comes to features. It comes with a semi-digital instrument cluster which gives you basic information like fuel gauge, trip meters, odometer, and speedometer. It also supports the Tripper navigation pod, which is basically Royal Enfield's turn-by-turn navigation system powered by Google Maps. The Classic feels more premium because of these small touches. The Bullet 350, however, stays true to its roots. Its instrument cluster is simple, almost old school, with just the essential speedometer and a few indicator lights. No fancy digital stuff, no unnecessary features, just the pure riding feel. For some people, this simplicity is exactly what makes the Bullet special. It doesn't try to be modern, it stays authentic to its heritage. Another important factor to consider is price and value for money. The Classic 350 is priced slightly higher compared to the Bullet 350. And that makes sense because the Classic offers more premium design, features, and overall refinement. The Bullet 350, being a little cheaper, becomes the more affordable entry point into the Royal Enfield family. But here's the thing, when you buy either of these bikes, you're not just buying a motorcycle. You're buying a legacy, a status, and an emotion. People who buy a Classic 350 do so because they want that perfect mix of retro charm with modern comfort. People who buy a Bullet 350 do so because they want to own a piece of history, the raw, old-school Royal Enfield that has been running on Indian roads for decades. Let's talk about maintenance and reliability. Both the Classic 350 and the Bullet 350 are built on the same J-series platform, which means the engines are modern, reliable, and much easier to maintain compared to older Royal Enfield bikes. Gone are the days when owning a Bullet meant spending every week at a mechanic's shop. These new-gen Royal Enfields are much more reliable, the service network is wide across India, and parts availability is not an issue. The maintenance cost of both the bikes is almost the same, though the Bullet might save you a little because of its fewer features, but overall, both are long-lasting machines if you take proper care of them. Now, let's talk about the emotional side of things, because with Royal Enfield, it's never just about specs or features. It's about what you feel when you ride one. The Classic 350 makes you feel classy, elegant, and refined. It's like wearing a perfectly tailored suit. Everywhere you go, people admire it for its beauty, its finish, and its charm. It suits riders of all ages. On the other hand, the Bullet 350 is like wearing a rugged leather jacket. It makes you feel powerful, macho, and strong. The thump, the raw road presence, the tall stance, it commands respect. It is the kind of bike that generations have admired, and owning a Bullet is like being part of a tradition that goes back decades. So, which one should you buy? That's the million-dollar question. If you're someone who wants refinement, comfort, modern touches, and a bike that feels more premium and versatile, then the Classic 350 is the right choice for you. It's easier to handle, more comfortable for long rides, and feels very well put together. But if you are someone who wants that raw, old-school, rugged feel of riding a true Royal Enfield, and if you love that iconic Bullet charm that has ruled Indian roads for over 80 years, then the Bullet 350 is the one for you. The Classic is about sophistication, while the Bullet is about authenticity. At the end of the day, both bikes are brilliant. You can't really go wrong with either. It all depends on what kind of rider you are and what kind of personality you want your bike to reflect. If you want to be seen as classy and refined, go for the Classic 350. If you want to be seen as bold, rugged, and old school cool, go for the Bullet 350. And with that, we come to the end of this detailed comparison of the Royal Enfield Classic 350 and the Bullet 350. I hope I was able to explain everything in a simple and easy way so you can decide which bike matches your personality and riding style